Hey, this is Josh Keaton, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
We need a car.
Oh, can we take this one? Man, this thing's beautiful.
We're not smashing a 72 Challenger. Come on. Let's go.
Yes, boss.
Hey, get over here. I need you to drive.
What? How do I drive?
Come over here. I'm not hearing you. You drive, okay? Come on.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 463 or 460 something, considering the feed tells me we're actually over that at some point. I don't know how any of that works.
Numbers are arbitrary at this point.
Yes, but I need them to stay, in line. I am, of course, TF2 and Mike. This is The Pull Bag. This is So You Want to Be a Hawkeye. I am joined, as always, by Miss Alison Richards. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, tonight we're going to be talking about Hawkeye Season 1, Episode 3. Full spoilers, you've been warned, so if you haven't watched it by now, then that's your own damn fault.
However, there's no Stephanie Brown in here, so we're good.
Yes, no, that would be a crossover episode. Oh boy,
fine for my fan fiction.
That's right. Oh man, episode.
Oh God, now I'm imagining Kate Bishop and Stephanie
Brown. Yep.
Oh my gosh, the world is not ready for that.
Yes, it is. That would be great.
You know who would really benefit in the end from that? Cass. Because Cassandra Cain would get to play with Lucky.
Of course.
And so she wins in the end.
And as of this recording, as of this podcast release, I have just started. I'm a few panels into issue 3 of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. I don't know what my person was doing 8 years ago that didn't enjoy it, but I'm very much enjoying it. So, yes, we will have more Matt Fraction Hawkeye stuff later in the podcast lifespan at a later date. But episode 3, holy crap.
That poor arm-waving Santa. He was just there doing his job, trying to lure people in to buy a Christmas tree. And then come the Hawkeyes, all right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
For half a second, I thought he called the arrow Sorry Santa, and then I realized, no, he was apologizing to Santa.
The inflatable Santa, yeah.
Yeah, the inflatable Santa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that, that we have those inflatable Santa things. What I do mind is the car wash versions of those types of things.
Yeah.
Those creep me out. I don't know why, and I don't even drive, but every time I see those things in like movies and stuff, it's like, no thanks.
I'm trying to. There was a car dealership one commercial that actually had the inflatable tube guy as the character, him and his inflatable tube wife, inflatable tube child. And, he was working for a really crappy car dealership, and he went on to I think it was like an Indeed commercial.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh. I loved it. It was so awesome. But
yes. And like I said, episode 3 entitled Echoes, because we have Maya Lopez interrogating Barton and Bishop about Ronan.
Mm-hmm. Who caught the Daredevil Easter egg in there?
Oh my God. The internet went nuts. And if it's true, and if it's who I and the rest of the internet is hoping it's going to be, that's going to be amazing.
that is supposed to be who it is.
No. I understand that. I understand that. And for those that don't know, they're alluding to Fisk. But what I'm saying is, if they're alluding to Fisk and it is Fisk, it better be the actor that I think it should be playing Fisk.
Oh, if it's Fisk, it's going to be the gentleman who played in the Daredevil TV series.
It better be Vincent D'Onofrio, because if it isn't, it's going to make the internet go crazy the other way.
I'm not the spirit, that I'm not the priest, or the Levite, that I am the ill intent who set upon the traveler on a road that he should not have been on.
Yeah, no, if it's supposed to be D'Onofrio, because Charlie Cox is supposed to be in somewhere in No Way Home.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I love that they're bringing that into the MCU proper, because I really dug Daredevil. I liked the only reason why I really like the Defenders, like the mashup of Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Daredevil, was there's one trailer where they slow down Come As You Are for the trailer, and it's just like this badass piece of TV trailer work, and I'm like, this is going to be so cool. I loved Daredevil and I loved Luke Cage. I wasn't that big on Iron Fist, but the characters that they set up and the cast that they had in those shows, so good. And as of right now, because of what's going on in real life with, Karen no longer being here and everything else, I'm going between recording podcasts, editing podcasts, and just laying in bed doing a Law & Order Criminal Intent marathon. So I'm basically watching D'Onofrio as Goran, like, every day. I'm in the middle of season 4 right now of Criminal Intent, because I just don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
But Echoes. This episode has literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's felt like probably the best. Now, mind you, I haven't watched Hawkeye. I haven't watched Loki.
Right.
But it seems to be the best television episode from the 4 live action TV series.
I will agree, sort of. I will say that I think that Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter had a few really, really good ones. But as far as like what an action show should have and how they're doing it, like the whole pacing of it, the whole like where the dialogue is versus where the action is, for and everything else. It is so good.
Yeah, but it's also not losing the the human connection to the story either in that process.
Right.
Because as much as I, love like movies like Die Hard and such, which are great action movies, there are times where you just kind of forget that, John McClane has got a daughter, in this as well. His wife is there, but you forget the whole, that whole family side for good portions of it.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we are constantly come back to Kate's family and Clint's family, and we see the consequences that the actions have both on themselves and on the families.
Yeah. I have watched and listened to this episode 4 separate times. And 4 separate times, there's one scene in this that made me cry every single time. And it's more so about what Kate does for Clint than what Clint is trying to do with the scene. Because in the scene, his phone vibrates, his phone rings, and he assumes it's his wife. He assumes it's Laura. And it's his son, Nate. And at this time in the episode, Echo had already destroyed his hearing aid, and they hadn't gotten it fixed yet.
Hey, babe. Hey, listen, I can't really talk right now, because, look, maybe, do you have time to text? Can you text? Can you text me? What? Nathaniel? What are you doing, buddy? Is everything okay? Where's Mama? There might be a little delay, but it's kind of a bad connection. You're bored. you're the early bird. Hey, bud, I miss you. Why don't you go get some breakfast and read a book or something till Mama wakes up? Yeah, it's tonight is movie marathon night. That's right. I really wish I could be here with you, buddy. You know how much I love that. But I'm not going to make it, but I think I'll be back in the next day or so. Yeah, we'll be in time for our ugly Christmas sweater party. You ready for that? Nathaniel? Buddy? Oh boy, I got to tell you, I miss you so much. I'm gonna be there, buddy. Hey, you know I'm gonna be there. Like I said, right? I'm so happy to hear your voice. Daddy's gotta go, okay? I love you. I love you more. Goodbye. Thank you.
So Kate comes in, and I love what they do with this. Okay, so there was an episode of Batman Beyond called Shriek. That won an Emmy for sound. If this doesn't win something in Hollywood for sound, they're crazy, because this episode did the sound so well.
Yeah.
So he can barely hear Nate. Kate comes in and we hear echoes of her, and then she just starts translating for him and writing what Nate. It's this whole thing, and it's like, oh God, rip my heart out for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
Mm-hmm. It is, and I mean, they've gotten to be, starting to work together well, and Kate, they obviously, care about the physicality of the other. Clint is trying to save her from the mafia. Kate's trying to save Clint from the mafia.
Right?
It's that thing. But here's a moment where Kate goes into his personal life and tries to support him in his personal life. And remembering that Clint keeps his personal life off the radar a lot, the fact that she just, she saw that he needed that moment.
Yeah.
And she knew by being, a child herself so not that long ago, how important that relationship with a father is. Because we saw that pre-Chitauri.
Yep.
So yeah, that was just really beautiful all around.
Yeah, it was. It was so, so good. Now, they've said in this show that she is 22, right?
Yes, she is 22. She did not get blipped.
Right. I understand that. But she doesn't drive. I know why I don't drive. I have cerebral palsy, and it just would not work. But she's 22, and she doesn't drive. Even in New York. I know New York is like, oh, subway, oh, this, oh, that, whatever. Like, seriously?
I didn't have my driver's license until I was 25.
Oh, okay.
And that was only
I'm
because
not judging. I'm just asking. Like, I'm just saying,
No.
like, that was a thing that they brought up. Like, I don't drive. Like, really?
No.
You do everything else.
New York City in itself is ultra connected because you have the subway, you have the bus lines. Between the two of those, it's almost impossible not to have a street that you can get off of. And the bus and the train tickets are the same system. So if you buy a subway, ticket, you usually get one transfer onto a bus. So to get you where you're going. Then you have Uber and Lyft and all of those on top of that. And New York in itself is so congested with cars of people who live in the city, who travel into the city for work and don't want to take mass transit. And the plethora of cab driving companies, delivery drivers, all of that if you just look at any video that ever shows you the traffic that is right on Broadway, right in Times Square when it's not closed down for an event.
Right.
Yeah, it's insane to be able to go from the Bronx, let's say you're going into the Bronx to the World Trade Center, so you're basically going down the entire length of Manhattan. You could do that trip probably twice by subway before you could do it once by car.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I only have been through New York, on the throughway to go up to New Hampshire, and that was when I was 7 or 8, so I barely remember it.
Yeah. No, it's they have probably one of the better layouts for their mass transit. It's not the best because it is so old, but it is also one of the oldest it is the oldest in America.
So yeah, man, he's not gonna smash a 72 Challenger, and then
it gets
the Challenger gets totaled anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And the Challenger gets totaled anyway.
But I just love that. Is you could see, oh my God, he's a car guy. And it's these little hints of Clint's not Shield, not Hawkeye life starting to show through again.
Yeah, it's him. It's because at this point they're I don't know. At this point, they're kind of going between the fact that he is either Ronin or Hawkeye, and then the two of them are sharing the Hawkeye name kind of thing. And that's fine. I don't have a problem. I don't care if there's 2 Hawkeyes. I don't care if there's 20 Hawkeyes. But Clint obviously was the first, and Kate was obviously the second. And man, I love the two of them together. It's so good.
They are really starting to form that relationship that we are familiar with of the witty banter between Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I kind of like that they've introduced Kate being a little older, meeting Clint, than they would have in Young Avengers. Because while, Clint's still looking at her like, she's a kid, and in the scene where she was helping treat her wounds in episode 2, and you could tell that, he's almost treating her like he would Lila in a way. Yeah. Now he's starting to, what was it? He actually complimented her skills.
Oh, we gotta walk the dog.
You're not wrong.
He's been cooped up all day. I'm quite sure how long a dog can
Call
live.
yourself one of the world's greatest archers.
You really think so? I won't lie, I wasn't sure how he'd do it.
I just walk the dog. What do you think?
You know, and such, and he can see that his like quick prejudgments, you know, he's starting to look past that and trying to see her for who she actually is now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, when they get to when they do the escape and they do the whole, you know, the Challenger is trashed and their car isn't trashed, but it's blocked in, and they do the whole arrow under the bridge and across the train and everything else. And, you know, she's like, oh, we gotta let the dog out. The dog's been cooped up for hours now. And that's where he's like, you know, you kind of are one of the best archers, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, really? And tries to get more out of him. And he's like, oh, yeah, we got to get going. We got to let that dog out.
Yeah, because he can't hear her.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. Yeah.
But not only that, but not only can he not hear her, it's starting to show that they're starting to, you know, see, they kind of show a parallel in how they think.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes them a good team, is that, you know, Kate and Clint in the comics, no matter how crazy things get and how much they banter and complain about each other, when they are both in combat mode, they slip into this rhythm that it's like almost like they're one person at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so good. There were more emotional moments in this episode than there was action, you know what I mean? But I think the emotional tones up until the mystery part at the end, up until that, like literally, like I said at the beginning of this for me, this is going down as probably the best episode of television in 2021, because that ending, holy crap, they just like leave it. And it ends on this like low musical note, and then the credits go right into another holiday song.
Yep.
So fun.
Also, can we just have a moment of appreciation that a show has actually used Trans-Siberian Orchestra properly and not just for a car commercial?
Oh yeah.
I just was so happy. I mean, when they actually they released the clip for this a while back, they didn't release everything in that clip.
Right, yeah.
But it was so I heard it at that point, and I'm like, oh, is this going to be the actual song they use? But I've been to a TSO concert. I've been a couple times, 4 times. And that song, I love the song. I normally don't like the visuals that they go with this, because they normally have these huge 30-foot projected red nutcrackers marching. But it gives you that marching, that chase feel to it, you know.
Yeah, it really does. It's not necessarily similar to, but some of the Trans-Siberian stuff, especially from the original 1996 Christmas Eve in Sarajevo album, really, really good. And it's just, they did great stuff with that album, and that music can be used so many different times. Yeah, a Mad Russian's Christmas instrumental is what was used in this.
Yeah.
And what I love is that everything so far that has popped up in the trailers or the clips or whatever, Marvel, Disney, whatever you want to say, they're not just cheaping out. They're not just we're going to pay for the rights to this to do it in the trailer, but then in the actual episode you're going to hear no. This is full on, holy crap, Christmas, we need it. I have to say, I kind of hope that they release
a full soundtrack, not just if there's instrumental, because I know there's some instrumental, but like, just even if it's a Spotify playlist, I'm sure somebody's already started one that just has all the Christmas music in order, because I'm a Christmas music junkie and I want to be able to have that like as a playlist. It's like, I wrote my screenwriting thesis. I wrote a Christmas movie. And because it's like a Hallmark Christmas movie, you have all these moments where you have instrumentals or you have, actual, montages with music. So I actually have a Spotify playlist that goes along with it, where I had put like the music I would put into that movie if it was being shot. And so, no, I would love to have a playlist created that would go through the entire Christmas, selections of Hawkeye, including, Save the City by Rogers the Musical.
Oh, that musical.
I love how the ads just keep showing up.
Yeah, it is so good. What else do we need to talk about with this episode?
Well, still going with that car chase scene. I don't know if you've seen any of like the behind the scene photos of that, but that is primarily shot with at least the stuff in the very beginning, and the stuff inside the car with Kate and Clint is shot with this one camera, and it's installed in the back seat, and it's a 360 degrees camera, like on a ball camera, where all they're doing is there's nobody in there operating it. They have somebody who is using, a wireless controller to actually rotate the camera in a circle going around and around, which is why when you look at some of the angles after it leaves Haley and it goes to the windows before you get to the back seat, you see some of that weird like bending of the car itself is from the camera lens, because it's just doing this constant rotating in a circle and filming.
Yeah.
And, you gotta wonder like how they did their timing for that.
Yeah.
How many times they had to record that just to get the timing for the rotation of that camera down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's again a major accomplishment, and how they've just gone about doing everything. We're only 3 episodes into the 6-episode series, and so far, every one of them has basically kicked ass in multiple ways. It's just so good, and again, that ending, where they go and infiltrate the I was going to say the playhouse, the penthouse.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait, because this is going to be the moment where we're going to find out if they know each other. Because while Jack may try, Jack would try to pull it off. Clint's he's honestly too honest to a fault. He would be able to really not have a reaction if he doesn't know Jack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's going to be so fun, and it's going to be so interesting to see how, so far I've liked the previously on Hawkeye things. That's cool. But with the way they left this episode off, I really think they need to just start it right there.
Yeah.
So we can pick up right where it left off. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. I'm not in charge of anything on that show or anything like that, but I would think that's the way that they would want to play that starting episode 4, because, I mean, literally, I feel like I'm hanging off, a cliff ready to dive into the Pacific Ocean over here.
Yeah. Well, what I have noticed with Disney streaming, and it could just be me and not paying attention to some of it, but if you are watching, like if you are blitzing through a series, the Disney Plus will automatically skip those and take you right to either the title card or to the first scene, because
you have the option. They don't. I mean, I don't remember. Let me look. I don't think it's automatic. I think you have the option of clicking skip intro. I don't.
Well, yeah, they have the option of clicking skip intro when you start it, but I think that it just automatically doesn't play that. It could just be me. I could be, Friday and hallucinating, things. It could just be something on Netflix and I'm thinking of Arrow. I don't know, but I don't notice those when I am marathoning episodes so much. So, but no, I agree. It would be good just to see, just them start from Clint at sword point, at his own sword point. But yeah. So, and that'll be interesting because I've been waiting for Clint and Jack. I've been waiting to see where this relationship is going to be written for MCU. Yeah, it's going to be so interesting, and they have we're 3 episodes in. There are 3 episodes left, and who knows how much they are going to pack into 4, 5, and 6. I mean, these first 3 have felt like basically we're only halfway through.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point, and it feels like we've been watching for 6 hours, kind of thing. And that, it's not a bad thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm very move over, Die Hard. You ain't got nothing to do with Christmas now. Hawkeye's in charge, kind of like that's my new mantra.
You're getting dubious looks and possible fingers from Bethany on my bed right now.
Sorry, Bethany. It takes place at Christmas. It's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, you're still getting fingers.
It's a good thing, we don't give her any arrows.
Yeah, no. However, that is like the number one thing on my Christmas list, because we were doing that at school today, talking about what's your number one item on your holiday list, and the kids were talking about wanting MacBooks and they're wanting, iPhones, new Jordans, things like this. And then they go to me like, well, so what is yours? And I turn around, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been eyeing this beautiful recurve bow and some carbon shaft arrows, because I want to redo archery. And they're just all looking at me with wide eyes. I'm like, what? You guys know I play with weapons. You've seen my swords, because I took a photo of my sword collection because they didn't believe I was a sword fighter. And they're just like, you really, really do this? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm one of those writers, I'm a method writer. So I like to be able to hold and use the weapons that I'm going to give my characters. So that way I know how my body moves and what it does to my body. So, it's the reason I took up broadsword is because broadswords are like 40 pounds, and I always get pissed off when they have the 5'2", mouse of a girl able to, move with one of these broadswords and stab people with it, which is not what a broadsword does. So I'm like, no. First of all, if she tried to wield the sword and she has never wielded it before, it is going to knock her off of her balance because of the weight shift. And so, yeah, I'm like, I do that. And so one of the girls later, she kind of pulls me to the side and she's like, if you get that bow, could you teach me archery? And I'm like, if your parents say yes, and I get the bow, we'll talk about it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so yeah, the kids find that funny that, I don't just, like Hawkeye, by Hawkeye, but I also understand the archery character because I know the basics. I'm nowhere near an expert. It's a luck if I get a bullseye, but I know the motion and the smoothness of how your body moves and how meditative and relaxing it can be. That's really what is good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yes. Hawkeye episode 3 for me, 5 out of 5 because man, this was just everything there's nothing. If somebody can find something bad in this episode, they're delusional because this was really fun. It was really great. It had emotional moments. It furthered the story in a way that basically leaves us on the edge of our seat. And that's the way Marvel Studios, Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. No, the thing that I would like, you've already talked about the sound. We talked about the cinematography with the camera, and we've talked about the action versus, emotion ratio in here. But the other thing that I really liked about this episode in particular is we have seen that this show is not shying away from Clint going deaf. It is one of those hard facts that is woven in this series, which I will admit I like because, I wish they had made him deaf in the first place when he, 10, 11 years ago when MCU first started. But by him losing his hearing aid mid-battle and seeing how that affected his fighting.
Yeah.
Because we've known Hawkeye to be this sleek, elegant fighter. When he's Ronin, he is that sleek, elegant samurai style fighter. And now he is in a hand-to-hand brawl or hand-to-arrow brawl. And without his hearing, you see his balance is thrown. You see that he can't hear things coming at him, And so, he's going to be learning an entire new way of fighting. That Maya already knows, and Maya shows that you can be a superb fighter and martial artist without a single ounce of being able to hear.
Yep.
So yeah, it's. I'm going to be really interested to see them continue on this path of showing Clint, not letting his disability, break him down, but him actually, taking it and making it his own and still being a superhero.
Yeah, he has to adapt to it, and that's what we want to see, because as he says to her, when she says, "Oh, you rely too much on technology," and he's like, "I got a stick and other sticks." She's like, and the other dude's like, "No, the hearing aid." He goes, "Oh, I'm hard of, I have some here. I'm not completely, all that stuff that he says." And it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts if he does go full deaf. And it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how that works.
Right, because from when he lost his hearing in comics after rescuing Bobby by holding the sonic arrow in his mouth, through when he died with right before House of M. I believe his hearing ratio was he was 80% deaf. And then though he did get his hearing healed apparently from something with the Fantastic Four, but sonic arrows again took it back away. But when he comes back in New Avengers through Fraction's Hawkeye when the clown gets him. He's 100%. I don't know if he, how much, if any, hearing he recovered post having the arrows shoved into his ears by the clown in Fraction's run. Yeah. And so it seems that they're keeping him at 80-20, which is, what most comics are used to for him. But it's going to be interesting to see. He's still got 3 episodes. We all know we haven't seen that pina colada scene yet with him falling from, and such. So we don't know if there's going to be more damage to him or not.
Yeah.
So
there's one other scene we have to talk about because we can't not talk about.
Oh, are we talking about the fact that Scott and Clint still chat post Endgame?
Because there's a Pym arrow. I barely noticed it the first time I watched the episode, and then in the second run through, I was like really paying attention to all the visuals, and I'm like, hey, wait a second, that's a Pym arrow. Well, and then all of a sudden this giant arrow just comes. I'm like, oh god, that's so hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it does remind me Clint, this isn't the first time, like Clint, even in the MCU, has used Pym particles with his arrows or in a fight. Because we've had it where, they've what was it? It was in Civil War. Wasn't it in Civil War where they shot he shot the Pym particles onto a truck or something, and
It was so basically Scott was riding he was running on the arrow.
Yeah.
So Clint shot the arrow, and Scott was running on it, and then Scott went big after the fact, kind of thing, if I'm remembering it right. But I was like, hey, wait a second, because 2 seconds later, I was like, wait a minute. What the hell hit their car? And I had to go back, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. That was great.
Yeah, and you could tell it was like a callback to that because there is the famous cover and an issue of Avengers where Scott is holding on to the edge of Hawkeye's arrow. It goes all the way back there. They've done it in. They've done that moment in, I believe it is it Earth's Mightiest Avengers, the cartoon that they did it in? Or
maybe.
It's either that. No, yes, it is because he's in the purple costume. It's in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, not in Avengers Assemble. So yeah, that is something that they always keep going back to for him. And so I really liked seeing that callback back to it. Plus, it also kind of has the way he's holding it and he's about to fire it. It goes back to that moment where he's about to shoot the explosive arrow at Loki. Yep. With that whole smirk, like, I got this. So, yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah. And, oh my God, Kate with the arrows. We knew the explosion one was coming. So, and because that was in all the trailers and it paid off well.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, with the
Play-Doh arrow.
It's the putty arrow with the acid arrows, with the gas arrow, which, by the way, for her saying that Clint has a branding issue, all that was purple except for the acid one, which which was green.
Obviously, yeah.
So you gotta love all that. But and then the suction cup tip arrow, which he comes back to, and that keeps them from falling off the subway car.
Yeah.
I loved all of that. But what was my
Here, take out that truck. Aim high. Bring the arrow down on him.
I don't really know what the plan is. This is just a normal arrow.
I have no idea what you're saying. Just gonna assume you're on board. On my mark. Ready? Shoot up!
That was amazing!
I mean, you have the callback to them falling off the building, which was at the very beginning, because that's Kate's first memory with them. And then she goes along for the ride. But I just like how... Oh, and the net arrow. The net arrow is the one I didn't mention.
Yeah.
But, you know, the fact that there are some arrows that he pulled away and said, no, these are too dangerous.
Yeah,
no.
definitely too. You don't have to say definitely like that.
Yeah. and that's the other thing I have to say. The montage, they showed him at one point where he's like making his arrows and he opens the kit and there's the Stark Industries thing. And in comics, a lot of the time they play Clint as the farm idiot, you know, that he doesn't have the education and such. But in MCU, and I think maybe it's because they pulled from the Ultimates originally for his character creation, they do not shortchange his intelligence at all. No. He makes those arrows.
Yeah, he makes those arrows. And again, like, I think it was the second episode where she said, we're going to Avengers Tower or Avengers Compound. And he's like, Tony sold that. You know, so you can clearly see the connections for him to the Avengers and how he's still kind of maybe in contact with all of them, even though he's kind of on his own. He's supposed to be retired. He's supposed to be this, that, and the other thing. And again, like you've said so far in our interview episodes and in the last episode when we talked about the first two, you know, this is his, you know, time to shine. This is his time to see what his past was and what potentially the future will hold for him, the family, and everything else. Because I read somewhere online somebody saying that because it was already expressly said that the family is off limits. So if something ends up happening to Lara, Nate, and what's the girls? Is it
Lila and Connor?
Okay, Lila and Connor. Okay, yeah. If something happens to them, then they've broken their own rule as far as, you know, nothing.
Well, if something happens to them, Clint goes crazy and becomes a, you know, a murdering Ronin, taking out the criminal underworld. That's what happens to him. We've already seen it, but yeah, no. I really do like that that they're off. That Marvel's not going to, you know, attack it because he's honestly the only one of them with a healthy family life.
Ain't that the truth?
You know, every other one of them either has, you know, like homicidal brother or everybody's dead or, you know, what do you call it? Can't have family, which we just won't go into that whole Red Room bullshit. Yeah. And even that the family Nat does have is kind of dysfunctional too. So, you know, well, Sam still has a good family too. But out of the first, you know, 6 Avengers, you know, he's the one who, you know, super spy by day, you know, good old boy, you know, family man. So yeah, I really like this, and being that it is, you know, a Disney thing, like I say, I still believe he is going to make it home for the holidays.
I do too.
I want to see if he brings Kate with him.
Yes, that's the ultimate thing here.
Because that's the one thing we remember with Nat. He took Nat in. Nat became part of his family. Yeah. So if Kate's family, you know, if Kate's mother ends up, you know, being more shady than we believe so far, you know, I see her becoming part of the family like Nat did.
Yeah, I don't know if I should feel sorry for Eleanor or if I am suspicious of her, because I don't think I should be suspicious of her because, like, it's Jack. That's the problem here. I don't, like, Eleanor has got her finger so far, pinky so far up, the whole teacup thing. I think that's her issue. I don't think her issue is that she's a bad parent. At least from what I've seen so far in this series.
Spoiler, 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 spoiler.
Uh-huh.
That's my answer. Also, as much as I want to say it, as much as I don't want to believe it's happened, there is still a part of me that is like, we did not see the body of her father.
That's true.
So I will not be surprised if Derek Bishop shows back up again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and everything that they are doing with the promotion of this show, like they've released videos of Haley and Jeremy doing various things related to Hawkeye, like, oh, these tips here, these tips there, whatever. I just love the two of them together as actors.
Okay. Jeremy, when he is on a Marvel tour, is just ridiculous, and I love the man to death. So for the end, do you hear what he did for the Endgame tour?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so for the Endgame tour, for the Endgame press tour, he was teamed up with Paul Rudd, which is the other reason why I love the whole Scott and Clit still talk with each other. So because they can't say anything about what happens in the movies, which makes for a pretty boring interview on all the late night talk shows, they came up with their own movie called 40-Year-Old Virgins. And they even made like a t-shirt. They wore t-shirts with each other's faces on it. And they made a movie poster. And so anytime one of the hosts tried to talk about Endgame, they would start talking about, and in this 30-year-old versions, this and that would happen, to completely sidetrack the conversation. And they were just making shit up as they went along every time. That, is like, do you remember this movie the same way I remember this movie at a point? But yeah, that's what they did. If you go back and look at all the old press from Endgame, that was what the two of them did. So
that's very cool.
So Jeremy, I watched his interview on Jimmy Fallon for Hawkeye, because he's doing dual press tours right now. He's not only is he touring for Disney for Hawkeye, but he's also doing the press tour for Mayor of Kingstown, which, just complete side note, if you are into gritty police criminal type shows, not where similar almost to I'm thinking like Oz, and Breaking Bad, those kinds of shows. Mayor of Kingstown's fucking amazing. Sorry, you bleeped that.
No. We're explicit around here. We don't worry about bleeps.
I season 4 dropped on Paramount. No, not season 4. Episode 4. It's in season 1. Dropped on Paramount Plus this week, and yeah, I am here for that, because there's just. I'm sorry. I'm a Jeremy Renner fangirl, but he's earned it through his acting, and his singing also, by the way, because I love his singing. But he talked about in that interview about how in Mayor of Kingstown, his character lives in a cabin in the woods, and he has a baby bear that's sniffing around. And so he originally has a fear of bears, and now he's kind of like having this Zen moment of watching this baby bear walking around his cabin. But he's also not stupid, and he wants a weapon to be able to defend himself if the bear comes charging at him. Mm-hmm. And so they actually have him going and getting a bow and arrow. And he talks about how he's like, guys, you can't do this. Because the moment I pick up a bow and arrow, you know where everyone's mind is going to go. And they're just all like, no, they're not going to go there. This is going to be much different. And yeah, the scene is much different, and it does stand on its own. You could tell the difference in the two characters. Yeah, you still get that moment where you're just like, they're giving Jeremy Renner a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, I highly recommend after you finish watching Hawkeye, if you're in the more gritty things and you're over the age of,
if you're an adult, folks.
If you're an adult,
let's just say
family friendly.
Yeah, no. So how I've always labeled the Geekcast Radio Network's podcast is we are explicit. If you're not over 20, if you're not over 21, then you should not be listening to our shows, because every once in a while we will drop fuck, shit, damn, hell, whatever, So yeah, same thing goes for Mayor of Kingstown.
Yeah,
it from what I've seen of it, and because I had watched his, and I think I had sent this to you guys, you and Bethany, the Vanity. Look, folks, I don't read a lot of magazines anymore. I used to read, back when we had to actually read physical magazines. But all of these things that have been around for 50, 60 plus years, Vanity Fair, Entertainment Weekly, whatever you want to call it, Vanity Fair does these career timelines, and they'll take an actor and they'll do spotlights of their career. I can't believe how short Renner's career is and how much he's accomplished in that amount of time.
He only started acting in 96 with National Lampoon Senior Trip.
And I did not even, that's one of, outside of, obviously, Christmas Vacation, regular Vacation, Christmas Vacation, and even though I know most people don't like this Vegas Vacation, I was never a fan of the other National Lampoon things except Senior Trip. I saw that one when I was 16, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I didn't even know. I didn't even. Yeah.
I love Van Wilder.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they show, they did the Vanity Fair career timeline of Jeremy Renner. So I saw parts of Mayor of Kingstown in that. Maybe next month I will go and get a Paramount Plus subscription and check it out, because at this point in my life, folks, if I don't have the option of doing a yearly subscription where I only have to pay once, I'm probably not doing it. And it's a sad fact that sadly Netflix doesn't do a yearly subscription, and the Hulu plan that I have doesn't do yearly, which is dumb. But I am now on Disney Plus's yearly subscription, so
yeah,
it's just so much easier.
Well, I could tell you when the season finale is, and then that way you can take the free trial and just mainstream it.
Yep. All right, Hawkeye season 1, episode 3. Now, they're not actually calling this season 1. They're calling this episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And they're calling it a limited series.
Yes.
I am only labeling it season 1 because it's just easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Hawkeye in the future. I mean, hell, we're only halfway through this show. If it does get another season, I think that'll be awesome.
Well, Renner told in Jimmy Fallon, I think it's Jimmy Fallon's interview, he mentioned that he's told Disney that he is still down to play the character, which, by the way, is a major turnaround from when he first from 2012,
right?
When, he wanted his character to die. So but he mentioned that he would be down for a West Coast Adventures type thing.
Yep.
And so, honestly, that kind of the West Coast Adventures that came in recently by Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's West Coast Adventure run. That was a pseudo Young Avengers West Coast Avengers team, and Clint kind of just ended up there, and then kind of became a mentor / member / keeping the children in line because Captain America is expecting him to, roll it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fun.
Yeah. And I think that especially if they go with Clint losing all of his hearing and with there being no real, like his team dynamic has changed where most of his original team is gone or dead. It could be a point where it actually shows him having that leadership skill that he's had in the comics.
Yeah.
That we haven't gotten to really see in the thing. Like, we saw it when he was like, Loki was controlling him. We saw that he's good at as a team leader. But beyond that, we haven't gotten a chance to see that side of Hawkeye. And I would love a West Coast Avengers where we got to see him being the old grumpy mentor. That, or come back in 20 years, when he's 70, and we do a Old Man Logan, Old Man Hawkeye series.
Oh boy!
Which, by the way, also there is a Wastelanders Hawkeye podcast right now.
Yep.
I just got to episode 8 finally, and yeah, that's good. That's so good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out at some point. Anything else we need to bring up before I get us out of here, Alison?
Lucky is a good boy and should get all the snuggles.
Yeah, and all the pizza crust.
And all the pizza. Not just the pizza itself. You don't just throw the crust. He gets the meat of that pizza.
Yeah, no. I know that, but I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And make sure you look both ways before you cross the Christmas tree lot.
Yeah.
Please be a good one. Please be a good one. What the hell is that one called?
Sorry, Santa?
Nope, I think that's what I got.
All right, I assume you're giving it 5 out of 5.
Oh, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5, then I'm going to hit it with a pim arrow so it becomes like a 10 out of 5.
Oh, boy. Coming up next week, we will be doing more Superhero Saturdays here inside the pull bag because we will have episode 4 of the Disney Plus Hawkeye series. And I tried to find a promo for this.
There are none.
There are none that make any damn sense because people are labeling Hawkeye episode 4 promos, and it's all cobbled together footage of what we've either already... I think there was maybe one thing that I had not seen, but it's not a real... It's not a real promo yet, so hopefully...
Well, and not only that, but they don't do a next on either.
No, they don't.
It's Marvel, and they're secrets.
Yes. It's a secret invasion, folks.
No, that movie's coming a couple of years down the line.
Mm-hmm. Where can the people find you online?
If they don't know by now, they're not looking hard enough. I am at Twitter at Ali Sky Richards. And I'm sure you can maybe find my Facebook, but I really don't go there anymore. except to like get messages from people. But yeah, no, Twitter is the main place you'll find me.
Awesome. All right, folks, make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time. You'll hear all the other contact details in the outro. Stay on target. See you later.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.
I retire for, what, like 5 minutes and it all goes to shit.